guys, it's Tiffany with Spot on Spirit, psychic, Reiki master, and spirit medium. Thank you for tuning in to this truly insightful video. Keep it rockin' because Todd Gorny of KTBG Radio will be giving us a brief overview of this zodiac sign. Don't go anywhere because JOHN DIVON, aka The Foundation, aka my boyfriend, will be reading an in-depth synopsis of my favorite sign from Linda Goodman's Sun Sign Astrology book. Remember, be original and be you. Beeboobopboo.
Hello, this is Todd Gorny from KTBG Radio, coming at you live 24/7. Keep it rockin', booyah, and my newest one, boom! I want to thank people for listening, and I'm doing the horoscopes from 1 through 12, all the way, all the months. So thank you for listening, and enjoy. Sagittarius, November 22nd through December 21st. Symbol, Centaur. Ruling planet, Jupiter. House ruled, 9th. Element, fire. Mode, mutable. Keyword, idealize. Sagittarius is an optimistic sign associated with expansion, idealism, religion, and philosophy. They are direct and forthright, good-natured and affirmative in their outlook. They tend to speak with a blunt tongue, which can get them into trouble at times. Sagittarians display honesty, humor, and a strong moral nature. Thank you for listening, and if you like what you hear, please share. Hey, this is a special shout out to Philip Daro, who's in a band called Pompous. My thanks to him. And please listen to the band Pompous. PMA. Remember those 3 letters because they're important to your life. PMA. Positive mental attitude. If you don't have that, you're missing out on life. Thank you.
And be you. Beeboobopboo.
Sagittarius, the Archer, November 23rd through December 21st. How to recognize Sagittarius. I would say that finding an example of this sun sign is as easy as rolling off a log, except that it isn't true. It's much easier than rolling off a log. Pick any party and look at the center of the liveliest group. See that fellow sitting there happily with his rather large foot stuck in his mouth? He's a Sagittarian who has just gone out on a verbal limb. But he doesn't know it yet. When he does, he'll look slightly bewildered, and the group around him will be looking daggers. The Archer will walk up to you, give you a hearty slap on the back, and a wide friendly grin. Then he'll greet you with a remark like, "How the heck do you manage to look so young when you're as old as you are?" Or say, "That turtleneck sweater sure is flattering. You should wear them all the time. Hides your double chin." After one of these cheery openers, he'll still be wearing his bright grin, but your own smile may start to droop a little. It will take him a while to figure out just what he said that set you back on your heels, and even longer to understand why. Then he'll try to explain. Keep your cool. It gets worse. Golly, didn't you understand what he meant? He thinks it's fabulous to look only 25 years old when you're really 38, which is 6 years older than you actually are. As for the double chin, lots of people your age have a little flab in the neck region. The only time you can see it is from the side. You know, when you turn your head. Just don't have any pictures taken in profile. After he's carefully explained his verbal goofs and got you feeling all better again, he'll go on his merry way, whistling a tune from the latest Broadway show. When you cut him dead the next time you meet, he'll be heartbroken and puzzled. There's no use getting angry or embarrassed. Sagittarius is completely free of malice. He blurts out his shockingly direct speech in total innocence. The fact that he usually adds insult to injury when he tries to fix it also escapes him. Don't judge him too harshly. He means well. Not that he needs your sympathy or mine. Under his tactless manner is an extremely clever mind and high standards. His unique combination of wit, intelligence, and fiery drive usually brings the archer straight to the winner's circle. What really gets you is that both male and female Sagittarians are oblivious to their own blunt speech. They are truly convinced that they are the most diplomatic souls in the world. They're always saying, "Why, I wouldn't hurt anyone's feelings for anything. I'm very careful about that." And they honestly believe it. In fact, everything they do is done honestly. Pretense and deception in any form appalls them. Their physical characteristics aren't hard to learn. Look for a fairly large, well-shaped skull and a high, broad forehead. The features will be open and cheerful, inviting friendships and the exchange of ideas, and the movements will normally be rapid, though you'll find a few who move slowly and deliberately. They will often make wide, sweeping gestures, which may be dramatic and vigorous, but possibly not very graceful. Sagittarius can wave his arms to make a point and upset the ketchup. He'll stride purposefully forward, head high, and trip over the curbstone. His briefcase may snap open at the same time, scattering his papers all over the street. Jupiter eyes are as bright and alert as a sparrow's, and they sparkle and twinkle with refreshing humor. The archers are either very tall and athletic looking, or shorter than average with strong, sturdy bodies. The tall ones will remind you of thoroughbred horses or spirited colts. In youth especially, many of them have a stray lock of hair which keeps falling over the forehead, like a horse's mane. They'll flip it back with a toss of the head or a quick unconscious movement of the hand, a habit that may last long after a new hairstyle has been adopted in maturity or after baldness has set in. Sagittarians are normally restless. They hate to sit or stand still. The archer is physically conspicuous, if only through his obvious confidence and his disregard for conventional behavior. He walks as if he's really going somewhere. There's no halting or hesitating, but remember that a conflicting ascendant can slow down the gait. When you first meet him, Sagittarius could be perched on a horse or walking his dog. He loves animals passionately. Sagittarian Frank Sinatra once ordered his driver to stop his car when he saw an injured dog lying in the street. He was on his way to a television rehearsal, but musicians, director, and camera crew had to wait until the singer had tenderly carried the dog to a vet. was assured he would be fine in a few days and had found the dog's owner. Sagittarians with natal afflictions to the birth planets can have instead a morbid fear of animals, but it doesn't happen often. Ordinarily, people born under Jupiter's influence fear nothing. The typical Sagittarian is attracted to danger in sports and in his job or his hobby. An element of risk excites and challenges the archers. They love speed, fast cars, planes, even roller coasters. Draw them magnetically. Daredevil test pilots are often Sagittarians. The average Jupiter person enjoys nothing more than a hairbreadth escape of some kind, either physical or emotional. It exhilarates them. They'll take a chance on literally anything, unless a meeker sign on the ascendant dilutes Jupiter's daring. There's a difference between the legendary bluntness of the Archer and the brutal speech of the Scorpio. Scorpio tells the truth, completely conscious of its effect, but still refusing to compromise. Sagittarius is totally unaware of the effect when his direct honesty compels him to speak. Scorpio feels little compunction about the wounds his statements cause. To him, the truth is the truth. And if you can't bear to hear it, don't ask. The Jupiter person, on the other hand, is crushed and dismayed at his own lack of discretion when he discovers he's really cut you. It would be touching if it weren't so infuriating. What is on the Archer's mind and heart is almost instantly on his lips. He's as frank and earnest as a 6-year-old. You can take that old advice: if you want the truth, go to a child, and switch it to, if you want the truth, go to a Sagittarian. There's a woman in the publishing business in New York about whom the same thing is said. If you want the truth, go to K. If you can stand it. K is not only an authentic Archer, she also has additional Sagittarius influences in her natal chart. A Jupiter girl, plus you might say she's warm and generous, typical of the sign. She has lots of loyal friends who love her, also typical of the sign. They would have to be loyal and they would have to love her to survive incidents like the time 3 years ago when she opened up her big heart and decided to completely outfit her secretary for the winter. The young girl was flat broke since she had been through a drizzly financial disaster, and she was touched to tears. Others had sympathized, but until K, no one had offered a concrete helping hand. Leave it to Sagittarius. You can read that several ways. One fine fall day, the two of them set forth for Saks Fifth Avenue in a fever of excited female anticipation. The poor secretary was delirious with happiness until they entered the elevator. Suddenly, the Sagittarian gave her a long, appraising look and said quite firmly and quite loudly, "We'd better try that fat girl's department first." Blind ecstasy was instantly replaced by numb shock. The secretary's fiancé had always told her she was pleasingly plump. Now, in one flashing, painful moment of Sagittarian honesty, she had become a baby blimp. To this very day, the young girl remembers how everyone in the car turned to stare at her curiously, as she wondered if her fiancé secretly thought she was grotesque. But good old Kay fixed it. Noticing the girl's discomfiture, she hastily made a joke to jolly her up. And if we can't find anything to fit you there, we can always try the tents in the camping department. The Sagittarian howled to her own hilarity. So did the people in the elevator. Just after Kay's warm, generous excursion with her secretary, she cheered up her boss, the publisher, who had been on the doctor's orders not to drink for a year, 1 solid year. He had infectious hepatitis, no liquor, not 1 drop. After going for 12 long months without even wetting his lips, he was justifiably proud of his willpower. Kay, just freshly back from Europe, paid him a typical Sagittarian compliment. "About your drinking," she began, and he smiled, waiting. "I hear you've been trying to stay on the wagon." "Trying?" "After 12 months without a single drop." "Trying?" As he recovered his composure, she went on. "Say, you know there's a party tomorrow night for Joe's book. I thought I ought to warn you, but I never get to see you alone." "Warn him? Warn him about what?" The publisher forgot his chagrin under this new threat. She continued. "We were all hoping that, well, this is embarrassing, but we were all hoping that you wouldn't spoil the party." By now, the publisher was speechless, not Sagittarius. "What I mean is, we hope you don't mess up the evening by being a wet blanket about not drinking, and all that. Joe likes his martinis, and after all, his book is a literary guild selection. If you slink around like some fugitive from prohibition and make everybody miserable just because you have this terrible disease, it will throw a damper on the whole thing. Say, can people catch it from being in the same room with you?" The publisher somehow managed to stammer that she was safe, then gathered his injured dignity together long enough to remind her that he had hosted parties himself for authors like Edna Ferber and Ernest Hemingway without mishap. "I have always been told," he said evenly, between clenched teeth, "that my manners are impeccable." The Sagittarian, blind to her boss's near apoplexy, heartily agreed with him. "That's for sure. You're a fabulous host. No one in the publishing business can figure it out." The publisher had just barely enough breath left to ask. "Figure what out?" The archers answered, zinged home. "How is it that you can be such a great host and such a perfectly lousy guest? Your own parties are marvelous, but you always pull such big boo-boos every time you go to somebody else's wing-ding. It's really weird."
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Jay Fratt of the Conservative Hippie Podcast. I just wanted to give you a quick breather. While in just a moment, we're going to get you back to the smooth audio recording from JOHN DIVON, reading about the best zodiac sign of the bunch, your zodiac sign, from Linda Goodman's Sun Sign Astrology book. It's crazy to find all these unique areas that relate to you and your sun sign. Please take a moment when you finish listening to leave a comment with a few traits you identify with your zodiac sign. And if you like what you're hearing, subscribe, like, and share. JOHN DIVON has also been featured reading some of the zodiac signs for Stoner Horoscopes at stonerhoroscopes.com. They're uploaded at the beginning of each month for all 12 of the zodiac signs. And yep, They even make it into a podcast, available on iTunes and Google Play. I would like to take a moment to thank him for his friendship and time that he invests to share all the rich goodness with you fine people. I would also like to thank him for joining me on the Conservative Hippie podcast. John has been a guest twice on the Conservative Hippie podcast. You can find those episodes on iTunes, Google Play, and at theconservativehippie.com. Well, thanks again for listening, and I hope to see or hear from you. I want to finish my brief intermission with a shout out to Todd Gorny of KTBG Radio, Tiffany, the Reiki Master Psychic Medium found at Spot On Spirit, and the one and only Adora Zen, writer of Stoner Horoscopes, found on Twitter at Adora Zen. Always remember to be original, be you, Beeboobopboo. And now back to your listening pleasure. Enjoy.
Then she noticed something else weird. Her boss's face. It was turning purple, suddenly contrite. The friendly Sagittarian immediately apologized. "Gee, I hope I didn't say the wrong thing. It won't matter how you behave anyway. Joe thinks you're really swell. He was just telling us all today that he's glad he decided to come to us, even though his old agent had been against it. He can't understand why he's heard such awful things about you. I told him people were just jealous. Say, you don't look so hot. Are you sure your doctor knows what he's doing? There are rumors that Kay's boss went off the wagon that night. Permanently." The Sagittarian, oh, she's happily helping new authors get over their nervousness at the same publishing company. Fired? He wouldn't dare fire her. As I said in the beginning, everybody loves her. Few people can resent the Archer for very long, because he's so transparently free of harmful intent. You'll see this lovable, likable, intelligent idealist almost anywhere or anytime. You may catch him shooting out his careless arrows from your television screen some Sunday night, leaving his guest stars numb and speechless with astonishment at his frankness. He may be your cab driver some Monday morning, the one who cheerfully explains to you why he hates stingy tippers. Or you could find him serving you in a restaurant some Friday evening, earnestly advising you not to order the oysters because they're a little on the tired side. Most archers sincerely try to cheer you up. At least that's what they start out to do. But sometimes it falls a little short of the good intention. I once had a Sagittarius manager who tried to boost my morale by telling me how much better my hair looked than it usually did when I hadn't washed it or rolled it up for more than a week. But he's still a good friend, so you can see it's useless to get exasperated. Besides, now and then Sagittarians can come up with a dilly of a statement that sends your spirits really soaring and makes up for all the rest. They can offer profoundly wise counsel when you've had time to analyze their viewpoints. This is a fire sign. So most archers are extroverts, talkative and forward. There are a few who are painfully shy and timid, but even these are full of original ideas, and they're just as blunt. In fact, the quiet, fey Sagittarians with the reclusive, meek ways can dream the biggest dreams and aim for the highest goals. Introvert or extrovert, the archer is a promoter at heart. The rare one who doesn't say much could be planning something really spectacular to spring on an unsuspecting world. His mind is busy even when his tongue is still. So you have to remember his sun sign is always there at the bottom of his nature, lest he lull you into not being prepared for his next startling move. Most of the time, the typical Sagittarian is happy and gregarious, but his temper can flare like a skyrocket if he's pushed around by people who abuse his natural friendliness or who get too familiar. Rebellion against authority and stuffy society is also common. Sagittarius will never run away from a fight or call for help. The women can lose their normally pleasant dispositions and let go with a barrage of unexpected plain talk that puts troublemakers right where they belong. The men will use their fists and scorn weapons. A rude, insulting person who has challenged Jupiter's good nature often finds himself sprawled on the sidewalk wondering where that truck came from. High-spirited Jupiter people can't stand to be accused of dishonesty. An unjust accusation or a slur against their integrity will make righteous indignation flame high. But after an especially fiery display of temper, the typical Sagittarian will feel remorse and try to make amends. He'll black your eye and put you in the hospital, but he'll probably shower you with flowers and sympathy the next day. The archer usually speaks and acts first and considers the consequences later. Many Sagittarians seek the stage, and no one is happier giving encore after encore for an excited audience. He'll sing himself hoarse or dance his shoes off for the sheer exhilaration of performing. Show business is full of archers. There's a strong religious streak in Jupiter men and women, especially in their youth. They're intensely interested in church affairs, but as they grow older, they can become skeptical of dogma, inclined to question former faiths, and search for a perfection of values. It's a rare Sagittarian who doesn't have a matched set of luggage. They love to travel, and there's usually at least one suitcase, well worn from hundreds of trips, that's kept packed and ready for instant use. You'll always notice something childlike about the typical naive, brave, optimistic Sagittarian. He refuses to accept the seriousness of life, though some of them manage responsibility with admirable conscientiousness in later years. Still, they're never truly happy when they're burdened by it. Jupiter natures rebel against confinement, and too much of it can bring on serious illness, if the Sagittarian can survive that, and the wear and tear of scattering his energies. He'll live to be as old as Methuselah. Most archers retain their faculties, razor sharp and refined by age, to the end. Senility is almost never a problem. His sensitive areas are the hips, lungs, liver, arms, hands, shoulders, intestines, and feet. The Sagittarian love of sports and the outdoors may bring accidents through reckless overactivity. Hospitals can rarely keep him bedded down more than a few days. he gives in to sickness reluctantly and usually recuperates with amazing swiftness. Life seldom defeats these people permanently. They believe that tomorrow will surely be better than yesterday, and today is pretty interesting. Moody spells are gone almost before the clouds have a chance to obscure the sunshine. Every Sagittarian is something of a gambler, unless there's a cautious conservative influence in the natal chart. Very few of them can resist throwing a couple of bills on the grain felt. The sound of dice rattling in the dealer's hand attracts some Jupiter men and women like the siren song of Circe. With adverse aspects between the planets at birth, an archer can gamble away a fortune or throw the rent money on the nose of a favorite horse. Las Vegas attracts Sagittarians like sugar attracts flies. So do the more staid gamblers of the stock market and real estate. Fortunately, the majority of them keep the urge to speculate under control, but even these will risk a few dollars now and then on a fast poker game or a lottery ticket. Both the timid and the forceful ones will take a chance on love any time. Sagittarians plunge into romance with reckless abandon, but they often stop short suddenly when marriage is mentioned. They think it over, then go ahead and make a mistake after careful consideration. Although the archer is warm and wonderful in love relationships, he's a little tricky to catch. Symbolically, he's half horse, half man, which obviously gives him a head start in any game of chase, if he doesn't stumble over his own feet. Among the most unpleasant traits of some Sagittarians are a tendency to violent temper, a love of too much food and drink, which can lead to obesity or alcoholism, mental brilliance stained by burning sarcasm or extreme eccentricity, and the inability to keep a secret. But none of these need to be permanent flaws. They can be easily rooted out with Sagittarian determination. The average Jupiter man will loan you money without ever making you ashamed to ask or even obligated to repay it, bearing a stingy moon sign. The Jupiter housewife will adopt the homeless orphan or the lost animal and always make room for one more at her table. Sagittarians have a tendency to go off on tangents. The archer will take on a great cause with blind devotion and believe that the possibilities outweigh the shortcomings, an attitude that results from his brilliant imagination and progressive thinking. He never fails to present his case with cool, reasonable arguments, sometimes cutting the opposition to ribbons with sharp satire, and yet remaining aloof from the fray somehow. The fire is always ready to leap forth, however, when anyone unfairly attacks his miracle or his cause of the moment. He's a formidable foe, because he aims straight when he takes the time to focus on the victim. His arrows then rarely miss their mark. They're dipped in clever wit and sharp enough to pierce the strongest armor. Although a few December people are genuinely funny, it's a curious fact that when most of them tell a joke, the timing is slightly off and they fluff the punchline. The audience, at home or in the theater, will roar at the obvious awkwardness, and the jovial Jupiter soul will think everyone is laughing at his great sense of comedy timing. It can be hilarious. Male or female, the archer can either behave in such a slapdash fashion or pretend to have such unassuming manners when he chooses, that you may get the impression his mind isn't too sharp and that he's timid. True, there are a few December-born people who occasionally exhibit eccentric reclusive habits, but that just gives them more opportunity to sharpen their intelligence into genius. Although Sagittarians have fantastic memories that tell them exactly what they said and where they were on April 14th of 1939, and they remember every detail of books and movies, they can forget where they left their coats. Most of them are constantly losing gloves, car keys, wallets, and some people are unkind enough to say they would lose their heads if they weren't fastened to their necks. A Sagittarian can never successfully tell a lie. No one believes him for a minute. Deceit is unnatural to the Archer, and when he tries to dabble in it, the exposure is usually swift and sure. He's always better off to stick to the truth and let the chips fall where they may. Even his observant, highly aware mind won't rescue him from the results of an excursion into deception, unless he has Scorpio rising. I know a secretive Archer who has such a Pluto ascendant and therefore manages very well to play a good chess game. This kind of Jupiter person is an exception, but be prepared to meet a few. To the Sagittarian, life is secretly a circus, and he's the clown, rolling and tumbling through purple hoops in a sky blue suit. His face is smeared with the bright, gay colors of grease paint, and his eyes glitter with curiosity and fun. As the music of the calliope gets louder, he stumbles and falls, then executes a perfect somersault on the back of a prancing pony. On his fingers he wears 3 turquoise rings. On his toes are bells that ring like the chimes in a distant church spire that disappears into the clouds. The Archer happily blows a lustrous tin horn made of the soft, malleable metal that's barely affected by moisture. Whether he's bold or backward, the true nature of his generous idealist is as merry as the Christmas holly berry. Bravely he pins a large carnation over his big heart and curves his bow toward the sky. When he aims straight, he shoots higher than man can see, past the stars, to the place where all dreams are really born.
Well, you're just going out and doing things. A lot of people have ideas, but that's where it stops.
I do enjoy executing ideas.
They're always the ones that say, I had that idea, I wanted to do that, I had that idea. An idea is nothing. An idea is the easiest part. It's the execution of the idea that's so hard, in my opinion.
Right.
It really is. You know, and then when you're around other creative people and they have an idea, it's so wonderful to say, that's a great idea. I've got that in my pocket.
It's hard to complete them. It's sometimes like reading a really good book.
Yeah.
You get into a really good book, you kind of don't want to read it. You don't want it to be over. It's hard to finish. You know, like you start off ideas and then once you finish it, it's over. But you need to know that there's more ideas, so you need to finish it and get to your next great idea.
Be original and be you. Beeboobopboo.
Beeboobopboo. Bye bye mess. Redefining mealtime, one bowl at a time. As a mother of 3 children, I can't count how many times dinner ended up on the floor, the wall, in the other's hair, on my face. You get the picture. With the Beeboobopboo suction bowl, each child gets their own color and dinner stays at the table. I hope you and your family enjoy this suction bowl as much as I do. With love, Beeboobopboo. Product features: Stay Put Suction. The silicone-based suctions to any surface without leaving a mark. The easy design makes cleaning simple. Compartments. With modular compartments, the bowl is perfect for on-the-go meals and build your own snacks. Seal-to-snap lid. The airtight lid seals with a snap and keeps food fresh and eliminates spills. Reviews. Love the quality and sturdiness of these bowls. As a mom of 2 girls, these help me to minimize accidents and to streamline our snack packing for trips. The packaging and presentation was also adorable. Thank you. This is a fantastic product. My son is 7 months old, and we're in that stage where he wants to grab everything. When we use this bowl, it's so much less messy. It sticks until you want it gone. I only got one, but I need more. I use it for my son who has motor skill issues. He is able to eat with one hand, but has issues using the other to hold the bowl in place. This suction bowl allows him with just one hand to eat independently. Contact information. Get in touch with us at admin@beeboobopboo.com. We love to hear your stories. Beeboobopboo. Cleaning up after your little ones can make mealtime stressful. With a stay-put suction base and a snap-to-seal lid, Beeboobopboo bowls work to keep dinner on the table so you don't have to.